welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 10th, and wow, things continue to be exciting, and still pivoting right around our same range here. We had 2046 as our pivot long above, and shot up beautifully, and then we started getting sells right around that 270. In fact, what was yesterday? We started up at the peak and worked our way back down. In that particular case, we get to 68. Right now, 65 on. Who knows? It's just, everyone thinks it's the news for Greece, stabilization in China. It could be any and all of the above. What we're seeing is just lower volumes, meaning it's easier for the summer guys to play around with things. But you can see from the chart, it moved anywhere, so there's no significant move from that standpoint. What we do see is the red starting to rise now after this first decline. We didn't expect this primary move to do anything. It's the secondary one here that we were looking for some interest. Now, this becomes problematic for longs. If we see this pivot continue through the day here, that would suggest that shorts are going to reactivate into the scenario and take control of the situation as it is. I would be using the 50K. If we look at the short algo, it's right there, 2060 range as a perfect spot to pivot off of at this particular point, because while we like it from above that 2046 level, that would be a point to take gain, especially when we're seeing this kind of thing develop from an intraday standpoint. Yesterday was beautiful as far as trading goes. Let me just remove the ABM so you can see it there. But the clear cross right back over here, and then we started to develop a series of DOC spreads, and then right at this particular case, it came in, red had already started to roll over, and that led to a beautiful cascade. Likewise, we came down after this primary move, and sure enough, again, we ended up with the still below, but then we turned around with a nice little bit of a buy after having all of those dips, and the key was, is it going to break past? And it did. It moved up above the range, and then we started to develop a similar setup here where the cyan went above, and then it was just a matter of waiting for the red to finally roll over. It didn't happen until right over there, and once that did, it was just a cascade lower from there. And then finally, boom, happened really quick where the well, first you had the steel break above there for what I thought would be a small little pop towards the end of the day. It had the little dip below the retrace, so it came back and did that on a higher extreme, and then produced the nice buy, and midway into that, it just skyrocketed, and you can see the catapult on that. Also left us with a dip below the 7.5. Took a while for that to even come back in there. I mean, it was just a complete shutdown of shorts at that point. And now we have the long algo before. A lot of people like to short into this one too quickly. You got to wait a little bit longer for that to develop. So I'm hoping we get up to the 2070 range, which is what we've been looking at. We'll see if it adjusts the broader targets at that particular point. Looking at the NQ, yeah, it looks almost the same. I mean, people are going to start drawing lines here. They'll be creating wedge patterns and all sorts of wonderful little design effects. It's all going to be a bunch of nonsense, because literally this is going to drive off of who sees the imbalance where and what they can do with it. And they're certainly going to take advantage of it if they can. Dow's still weaker than all of them. And you can see the euro. It's right in our range. I mean, there's no real surprise with this. It's doing exactly what you would expect it to do, given this extreme sell-off. But we know that the initial pop usually isn't the one that's going to have the strength. We just need to see the red roll over again and come back decent with the shakeout readings, as well as the fact that it's retested the lows. But now doing it on higher extremes, the question is it going to get overbought before it does anything? And oil still far below our range that they can free flow that and allow it to do whatever. That's got to pick up some momentum in order to stabilize global economic conditions. Interesting fall off on the bonds there, but still with that rising red, it gives an opportunity to go ahead and take advantage of that on any little intraday peak turnaround. It would be attractive at that point. And gold, again, being rejected even on the little pump that it did. So none of those things going good. Again, our sell on Apple continues. I think now it's time you can really get below the number one. This is what we were talking about being able to do before. So, we had the beautiful short signals came in as the red rolled over. Even, those that like to get in there a little early with the shorts, I think you need to be patient with those sometimes, especially when you see a little bit of the red rising making the new zone. It's usually within a day or so. It doesn't really take much time to wait. But it certainly pays off in doing so. But we've seen some others that are attractive. I mean, Amazon chart's fine, fading in there with the new buy setup coming in. Some of the Chinese stocks should recover a little bit here, back and forth. Gapped up much higher on Baidu. Nice little buy there. We'll see if they have any legs. Again, I think those are best played with puts, having them in the long-term range and then going from there. But that's just the way I prefer to play those. FAS still not quite showing that it's going to be responsive in this, so you got to be careful expecting any of these bounces to hold or not. You just want to play them, in a little more aggressive manner so that not stuck in any one position. And Facebook looking strong on that play. Google, a little bit of recovery from that little bounce, but again, it's just not attractive with this huge spread between the midterm range and long-term buyers versus where shorts are and short-term buyers. It's just not great. Best chart in the world continues just above our midlines. Cyan has stayed below this thing virtually the entire run. When it's going to be choppy, PCLN, tourism, all that, can't really catch too dramatic a bid, but again, I like anything above the 1148 range, and it'd be nice to be able to lower that. Put it in number 1 yesterday, which for me is sometimes even a nice little nibble just because it indicates a beautiful oversold. And the SPY showing that it had the buy coming through, just not producing a ton yet. And Tesla, not quite still. Looks like it's about to turn around. So from our original buy, let me add a new parallel. Leave that one where it was. I would think you'd want to be somewhere right around the APM that was right here at 6330 range. And an unfortunate chart, of course. Always Twitter. Don't even need to talk about it because it's just malaise, but it's improving. I mean, we could actually see a green crossover sign for the first time. She's months, so that would be significant. So keep an eye out for it because it could be an opportunity to lower into these and nibble a little bit. There you have it, the basics. Let's put up this. We see a Predator Hawk jumped in the other day. What was that? Right at the 2039 range, exactly where it had sold out this previous fall hawk. But that, like we said, was a little misleading because we had the initial buy from down here, and then they added it combined the two stops as one, whereas these would still both be just operating normally, stuck in a range. Actually, the fall hawk would be really pretty close to a peak, anywhere right above that 275 range to be out, and then it would just be a matter of the Predator Hawk, which would be slightly underwater at this point. A double average on those two would certainly create an easy win. So that's how I typically play those setups. We'll look at the 5K with the little rally that's going on right now. As it continues, and it should be good for quite a while. Probably sees some selling as the market gets close to open because they took advantage of the weak time period and just brought it back to exactly where it was before. Nothing too dramatic. As always, though, continue to look for me in Skype chat. We put up some great charts yesterday. We'll continue to do the same. Trade well.